Hey guys! I hope you can hear me alright. So let me know if you can't. But I've got some fun stuff organised for today, such as a little Q&A with you guys, because I thought, it being 1 year since I started all of this, that we could go ahead and answer some questions that you guys might have for me. And if you can't make it to the live and you have any more questions for me that I haven't answered today, just leave them in the comments below and I will answer them for you guys later. So that's kind of the plan, at least. And I have got a little book haul to do with you guys as well, because I got some book mail yesterday, which I didn't realize it would be here, so that's cool as well. So yeah, let me know if you guys have anything you want me to answer, but I will start answering some of the questions and we will kind of go from there. So what is my favorite color, and do I have a book in that color? I have to say that my favorite color is yellow. And I believe I would have at least one book that's yellow, or at least like an off yellow color. But what that book would be, I have absolutely no idea. I have no idea. Because I know I have lots of like blues and whites and different things, but I don't know that I have any like full on yellow, It's not a very common book color unless you buy lots of like contemporary romance and stuff. And I don't really buy contemporary romance because that's not my genre of choice. But anyway, let me know. Do you know of any books that are yellow? Because I might have to start a yellow book collection just because it's my favorite color. So yeah, there we go. Number 2, describe yourself in 3 book characters. Ooh, that's hard. 3 book characters that describe me. That's a hard one. I would probably say Lucy from Narnia, just because I would like to think that I am that imaginative and easy to believe. Like, she's got such a childlike faith, and I would like to think that I have that. What else? I'd probably say, plus she's just like so friendly to everyone, so I'd like to say her. And then 2 other people. Okay, let's see. I would like to say I am a bit like Janna from the Wingfeather Saga, because I too struggle with like jealousy and just like general sibling rivalry stuff. And even though I'm actually the youngest, for a lot of like my life, I feel like I've been more responsible for the other 2 than the other way around. So yeah, maybe him as well, and just like the way he connected with God was really, like, it really touched me, and it was very real for me. So I feel like maybe that. And a 3rd person from a book that I feel like I'm like, I don't know. Probably Kelsia from the Stormlight Archive, I'd say, because he, like Brandon Sanderson wrote him as like someone who is like a bit depressed and everything, but he desperately wants to help people, and like he struggles with a lot of stuff. And I feel like on a realistic level, I'm probably a lot like him in that regard, because yeah, I let things affect me quite a lot, and that can get me down sometimes. I don't know, that's a bit of like a sad note for this to go down, but I'd say that's probably true. I would say I'm probably a mix of those people. So there's some good and some bad in there, I'd say. So, some hyped books, yay or nay? So, do I like hyped books? And what's the most hyped book I've ever read? I would say the most hyped book I've ever read would probably be, what was it called? The Secret History, or whatever that Dark Academia book is. And I really didn't like it. I did do a whole video on how much I didn't like it. But yeah, like I don't get why people like Dark Academia, but maybe that's just because, like, I don't know, some people must just like murder and to read about it and different things in a not like a like, because with the Secret History, people got away with it and like everyone was expected to be happy with that. Like that was with like no justice, and I'm not okay with that. And yeah, I feel like things need justice, so I didn't like that. And I feel like a lot of Dark Academia books are like that. They do all these like horrible things, and then people just like get away with it, and you're like, okay. But yeah, I'm not a hyped book person. Normally, if books get too much hype, I get more skeptical of them, and I try and stay away from them. But that being said, when like my fellow Christian Booktuber friends like hype up a book, I'm more inclined to read it just because like I trust their opinion. Whereas like if it's like just a mainstream booktube book that's going wild, I tend to stay away from it, if that makes sense. Also, I'm still a little bit sick, so like apologies for that. I may need to like blow my nose at some point, but just bear with me. Okay. Let me guys know as well any questions you have for me that you want me to answer, because I would love to answer any of your questions. Okay, so recommend one book per season of the year that you would read. So like seasonal reads. So for me right now it's spring. I know for a lot of you guys it is autumn or fall, as you guys like to call it. And I would say for spring, I'd probably recommend, it's a good spring read, something happy and light, probably. Part of me is like Anna Green Gables, but then that's also could be like a wintry autumnal read as well, because it kind of goes across all of the seasons. Um, let's see. Maybe, I don't know. Spring read. I'm so bad at this. I don't read things like seasonally, so I'm a bit bad at working out what's a good seasonal read. I'd probably say like winter is obviously good for like Christmassy stuff. Even though for us here, Christmas is in summer, I'd still, because I like to pretend that it's wintry and I get a white Christmas, I would probably pick like any Christmas book for winter, because that's always good. I'd probably pick Anna Green Gables for an autumn read, and I would probably pick summer. What would be a summer book? I feel like fantasy is good for summer. Um, maybe, what's a good summary book that I've read? Probably this Story Peddler is good for summer. And spring, would be probably classic, like Pride and Prejudice or something, I reckon. Or like The Secret Garden. Oh, that's perfect. The Secret Garden. The Secret Garden. Okay, so Liz Mo has said, being a mother, I could recommend top children books that your child likes. So, some books my child likes. Her name is Willow. She's very cute. I would say her favorite books are the Veggie Tales. They have like some. They're like old. I don't even think you can get them anymore. But they have like a counting book and a alphabet book, and she really likes the counting book because a lot of the characters have hats and stuff, and she likes to point out all of the hats that they're wearing. So that one's good, and obviously it's teaching her the numbers, which is always good. She also really likes her Bluey books, just because I feel like every kid on the planet right now, and possibly every adult on the planet right now, loves Bluey. Because it's just a good show. So she likes her Bluey books. What else does she like? I don't know. She's still quite young, so there's none that like she can really properly read herself. My favorite children's books, which I hope she will like, is The Magic Possum. Is that what it's called? I think that's what it's called. Possum Magic, that's what it's called. And Wombat Stew, they're both good Australian kids' books that are quite famous. And then I would probably say like The Very Hungry Caterpillar and Winnie the Pooh is always good. The book's always good anyway. And the May Gibbs stuff is pretty good. I don't know if that's also just an Australian thing or not, but I'm sure you'd be able to find it, at least on Amazon, regardless of what country you're in. Because Amazon has everything, and it's so good. Okay, name one book that wrecked you emotionally. I am gonna like put that out to Miss Horn and like that series because it absolutely wrecked me so hard, like for days afterwards. Because I would say it should be considered a tragedy. No problem, by the way. But yeah, I would probably consider it to be a tragedy, if that's fantasy, because there's a lot of dying in that, and like no character is safe in that book, well, in that series. And like my husband can attest to this. When I was reading it, I would like smack my head against that book so many times because like of just like the tension and what was happening during it. But yeah, hang on. I'm gonna mute myself and just blow my nose really quick because I really need to. Sorry. There we go. Thank you guys for all your prayers and everything as well, and all your nice comments over my last few videos and me being sick, because I really do appreciate it. It's really, really nice of you guys to wish me well and my family well, as we are all still very sick. It's been like 2.5 weeks now, and honestly, I'm getting so over it. Like, you know, when like you're not really sick enough for it to stop you living, but like you're just sick enough for long enough that it's just like annoying, and you're just like, okay, like I'm done now. You can go away. That's how I feel about this cold currently. I do have a couple of Instagram answers too, because I put out a poll asking people for questions. So one of them also has the same answer as what wrecked me the most, which is what book series do you wish you could read again for the first time? And it would probably be Mistborn, just because it did affect me so much. And like, I love that series so much that I don't know, something about the way Brandon Sanderson writes stuff, it does wreck you, and it intentionally does so. But it's both in such a good and bad way that you just want to read it again and experience it again, because like it takes a really good writer to get such a like strong reaction out of a person. So I think it's more like a respect thing that I'd want to experience that again. Also, maybe even the Night Circus, I wouldn't mind reading again, and like if I could read it for the first time and like re-experience that for the first time, just because that was such like a joyful read for me, because it was so like it had so many things that I love, like thematically wise, that yeah, I think I'd like to read that again. And how do you choose your next read? That one's really hard. How do I choose my next read? I would probably say I'm a very emotional reader. Like, well, emotional is probably not the word, but like mood reader. So it's normally it's whatever I feel in the mood for at the time. So I'll put a book down and I'll be like, okay, do I feel like fantasy now? Do I feel like sci-fi? Blah blah blah. Normally, though, because I've been doing Booktube for so long and I want to do videos for read for content some of the time at least, I kind of have to find a happy balance because, sorry, I typically will try to pick a theme per week so that I can do like thematic videos. So like I'll do like just a week of fantasy or just a week of whatever, and then I'll mood read depending on what genre I'm in, if that makes sense. So like instead of just picking out of any genre any of the time, I will kind of go through it and go, okay, this week I'm doing fantasy only. So what am I in the mood for fantasy wise? Because it's still quite a broad um, range that I have to pick from. So I'm not really limiting myself that much. I'm just giving myself some guidelines more than anything. But if I was like super desperate to read a book and I like could not wait for it to fit within a video properly, I would just do it. Like I just read it anyway, and then save it for like the review for later or something like that if I really wanted to review it. Another question from Ms. Mo. Do I prefer reading an actual book or using Audible? I have never read an audiobook. I've never had an audiobook. I've never listened to an audiobook. My husband has listened to one because he's not a reader, but he really wanted to listen to The Martian because he loved the movie so much. So he's read more audiobooks than I have. But yeah, I've never tried an audio there we go, audiobook before. I don't really know why. I think it's probably because I can read a lot faster than I can listen it to. Oh my gosh, my English today is so bad. I need to go back to bed, obviously. um, I can read faster than I would be able to listen to it. So on just like a practical level, it doesn't make sense for me to listen to it. I think maybe if I was like driving in the car a lot, I would branch into audiobooks, but I'm not very often in the car, so I haven't branched out to that yet. But there are a few people that have suggested different audiobooks to me, and they're like, the physical copy's good, but you really need to listen to it because a certain narrator is really good, and that makes me intrigued because I love a good narrator. I'm a sucker for that, so I might end up branching out. But currently, it's just the physical copies. Ooh, The Magician on audio. Is The Magician as in the magician's nephew from Narnia, or is that something else? Is The Magician something else? Oh, and I also have a question from Alyssa that says, don't know if you've already been asked this, but how many books do you think you've read this year? I would say I haven't been keeping track, and I regret it because I really should have, but I've read at least 150 so far. At least 150 so far. Because I've been reading, on my worst reading week, it will be 3 books a week, but typically it's been about 5 a week. So it would be it would be about 150 at this point. I reckon I'll probably come close to 200 by the end of the year, but again, I'm not keeping track exactly, so I wouldn't be able to give an exact number. But I really, like, next year, I'm 100% gonna, like, really write it down and, like, make sure that I am keeping track of it, because I really want to know the exact number. I think it would be kind of cool. Oh, okay, it's a Raymond Feast book. I have heard of him. He's got a lot of fantasy, doesn't he? I believe. I've seen lots of his stuff around. He's more of the older fantasy, I think, isn't he? Or am I getting confused with someone else? But I think he is. I feel like he does more fantasy from like the 90s or something, isn't it? Or the 80s? Something like that. Although he's still writing, I believe. Cool. So, what other questions do we have? Let's have a look. Okay. Name a book that I would always recommend. For me, I will always recommend the Wing Feather Saga, as you guys know, because I won't stop talking about this book and series because it's the best ever. I know that it does make me kind of sad because, like, some people wouldn't pick it up for two reasons. One, because there's 4 books, and I feel like sometimes people can get a bit daunted by a 4-book series. And the other reason why I feel like people wouldn't give Wing Feather Saga a chance is because it is technically a middle grade series, so it's intended for like 10 to 13-year-olds or 10 to 14-year-olds. But honestly, it doesn't feel like it is when you're reading it. Like, it doesn't feel like you're reading a kid's book or anything like that. It feels just like any other book, I feel like. But it's funny and like comedic in a way that I really enjoy. My husband's joined the chat, everybody. So Chris has asked, do you have everyone, you should message my husband now because he's joined, and you should ask him questions just to embarrass him. So do you have a favorite couple from a book, either because you look up to them or just because they have an interesting dynamic? Oh, favorite couple from a book. Obviously Anne and Gilbert from Anne of Green Gables. And if my mum was on here, she would definitely agree with me on this, because they are like the best romance on the planet, because it's very wholesome and they fall in love out of friendship, which I really love, and they're just like, it's just very pure, and it's how every romance should be. And then another favorite couple, I would pick Finn and Elan from Mistborn, because that romance in that book is very like in the background, like it's not at all prominent, and like nothing really happens in the book apart from them just like talking and stuff. And they do get married, but like there's no kissing scenes or like anything like that. But I like their relationship because they support each other really well and they balance each other's weaknesses very well, which I think is really important. And like when one of them is having a breakdown about something, the other one is very good at like being supportive and lifting them up and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'd say them. I'd say they're a good couple as well. Okay. Do you struggle to live in the real world since you live in so many other worlds in the books that I read? That's a good question. It is a good question. I struggle with like, this is going to be really cheesy, especially since I'm not a romance reader, I should say. But I struggle with like when you do see like really good written romance of just like, I don't know, not like fairy tale romance, but just like you can tell that they genuinely love each other and like, I don't know, they're very there for each other all the time. Because like in books they don't really write the flaws of relationships and the real part of the relationship. Like they only write the happy part. It can get to me sometimes because I'm like, oh, I wish that like my marriage was like that or whatever. Just like when people watch too many like rom-coms or whatever, and then you're like, oh, I wish that my husband would bring me flowers every day and surprise me with stuff and whatever. Like people can get so hung up on that because the real nitty-gritty everyday life bit isn't in there, and so that gets to me sometimes. And my husband does a very good job at reminding me that it's not real, and no matter like no one is going to have a relationship like that 100% of the time, because you can't. We're human, we make mistakes and we sin and we do all the rest of it. So yeah, I'd say I struggle with that part of it. I also would love, like, it does make me wish I could travel more. Not so much like, oh, I wish I could go explore these fictional worlds, or I wish I lived in a fictional world. More just like, I wish that I wasn't just sitting at home most of the time or whatever. Like, I wish I could see more of this world that God's made. Because that's what a lot of people write about. Like, they use the real world as a like baseline, and then they kind of go off that. So it makes me wish I could travel more just our world, but not so much fictionally. And I don't know, a lot of fictional worlds that I read about I wouldn't want to live in, because like you would die like straight away. Like I am not a pro swordsman or like a huntress or an assassin or like a pirate or whatever. Like I don't have the skills to be able to survive in a lot of these like fantasy worlds that I read about. So I probably wouldn't want to live in them. And because even if I did live in them, I'd probably be like one of the poor people in the background that like is like begging on the side of the road because like they can't save themselves and they are being chased by monsters or whatever. So yeah, I don't know that I'd want to, unless I could be in those fictional worlds and like if I was teleported into one of those worlds, I'd hope that I would be like given the like skills to survive it, if that makes sense. Like instantly know how to do martial arts or something just so that I could survive it. Because if I was just dropped in as I am now, no, I would die straight away. Like I'd like to think that I'd survive, but realistically, no. It's like if we had a real life zombie apocalypse right now, part of me is like, oh yeah, I'd get a katana and I'd like go nutso and I'd be fine and I'd survive. But like realistically, I wouldn't. Plus, I'm not fit enough to outrun anything. So, yeah. Yeah, I'd be the first character killed off too. Yeah, definitely. 100%. It's quite funny. Um, but very true. I feel like people can get swept up in like the fantasy world, but I don't know. I I don't mind being realistic about it all, I guess. I would say. Okay, what other questions do I have? What book would you recommend with tea and cookies? Ooh, probably The Grandest Bookshop in the World. Because that's a really fun book, and it's like, I don't know, I feel like it would be good to have with some cookies and some tea, especially since there's a tea shop in the book, which is kind of cool. Any fictional food that stands out as one you'd love to have? Oh, I don't know, because in novels, people don't really write about the food very much. Like that's not something they write about. It's like, oh, we're eating something right now. But I would have to say, if I could broaden the question and like include like movies and stuff, I would pick any of the Studio Ghibli movies and their food, because their food looks amazing and I would love to try it, even though it's like so outside of like anything I'm used to, because like I'm obviously not of the Asian culture. I would really like to try it because it looks really good. So I would say that. But yeah. You'd read Jumanji with cookies and tea. Is that right? Is that what you're saying, Nismo? I haven't read the Jumanji book. I've only seen the movie. And that was kind of terrifying. I've also seen the new Jumanji movie, but I feel like the old one is better because it has Robin Williams in it. And Robin Williams is just the best ever. So, yeah. I don't think you can beat a Robin Williams movie. What is my guilty pleasure book? I don't know that I have one. Guilty pleasure books are normally ones that like you're ashamed to have, but you really like it anyway. And I don't feel like there's any books in my collection that I'm ashamed to have, because I don't read stuff. Oh, the only one I could probably say, I don't think it's like shameful because like it isn't 100% clean, would be the Witcher books. I don't love the main series, but before they wrote the, I think it's written by a girl, I believe. I could be wrong though. But before the main series of like stories that this TV show is being made from, there were these two short story books that were just like compilations of short stories from the world that did have The Witcher in it. And I really liked them. I loved the format, and I wish that the whole Witcher series was in that short story format because it just suited it so well. But I would say, yeah, it's probably like a guilty pleasure, and I don't like talking about it very much because there is some like smutty scenes in there. I just skip them because there's like 2 pages in total. Like, you literally turn the page and it's gone, kind of thing. So I would say that because I feel like I can't recommend it to people because of what's in there, but I still like them and I still have them in my collection because I just ignore the gross bits, if that makes sense. If I could have one superpower or trait that you've read in a book, what would you choose? Oh, no, teleport. No, I wouldn't pick teleport. I would pick superhero or trait that you've read. That's interesting. I mean, on a practical level, probably like the skills of an assassin or something. But on like a superhero level, the only like really superhero esque um, books that I've read have been the Steelheart Reckoners series from Brandon Sanderson, because he wrote a superhero series. And there's some really cool superpowers in there. But I'd probably pick to be able to control all water. I'd probably pick that because you could do a lot with all the water because there's water in everything, pretty much. Because like plants all have water in them, humans have water in them, the sky, the ocean and stuff. Like there's a lot you could do with water to be able to control it. And I feel like I'd be able to do a lot of good if I could control the water because I could like make it rain on people that need rain and like stop tsunamis and whatever else. But then if I wanted to be evil, I could like kill everybody with my water powers. Not that I would, but like if I wanted to, I could, you know. Um, yeah, I'd probably pick water. I think that would be really cool. Plus, it makes me feel like I'd be part of Avatar, The Last Airbender, because they can waterbend, and I think that's really cool. I'd just pretend that I'm in Avatar if I had water bending powers. Okay. Am I a procrastinator? And if so, what book have you been procrastinating? Ooh. If I'm being honest, I'm not normally a procrastinator reader, but I am a procrastinator in general. Like in general life, I will procrastinate pretty much everything. But when it comes to reading, I don't normally procrastinate just because I like reading so much and I like trying to get through books as quickly as possible. For my own, like, I don't know, personal accomplishment, I guess I like to see how quickly I can read a book, especially the big ones. But I have been procrastinating reading Frank Peretti. I have. Everyone's told me to read it. I have said in previous videos that I'm going to do it. I know that I need to because, like, everyone wants me to. And I know he's a good author and he's a good Christian author. And his books will probably change my life. But honestly, it kind of scares me a little bit because when I was younger, I took my dad's copy of This Present Darkness and I tried reading it. And I was probably a little bit too young to read it because, like, the whole, like, first bit where, like, you're following the angels and the demons and stuff and you're, like, the demon is, like, breaking into the church and, like, all of that scene freaked me out so hard because, like, I have seen that kind of stuff in real life. So, like, reading it in a book freaked me out quite a lot, to the point where I couldn't even read on to the good bit where, like, the angels and, like, the God, like, prevails and everything. And because of that memory, I'm kind of a little bit scared to read Frank Peretti's stuff just because, like, I'm worried it's going to be too scary for me. And so I've been putting it off. And, like, I know I just need to, like, give it another go because I'm much older now. And I know the outcome of those stories are good and everything. So I think I just need to push through. But I've been procrastinating about it. I really have. I've been trying to avoid it, if I'm being honest. Okay. Do I prefer a long form of novel or a short form stories, all based in the same world? So, depends. And hang on, I'm going to mute myself for a second because I need to cough. Sorry, this is a terrible live stream because I'm so sick. But anyway. Yeah, so it depends on... Now my voice is going to die on me. On the story in the world. Because, like I said, with The Witcher, it really suited the short story format and, like, jumping around to different, like, little mini adventures that he was doing and, like, little interactions he had. Whereas, like, some books I definitely prefer, like, a big long format as well. So it kind of just depends. Some books and some stories, really short stories suit it much better than obviously the long stories. But I don't know what I would prefer. I think it's just, like, I'm happy either way as long as whatever is I'm reading suits that format, if that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people feel that way about Frank Peretti's books. Apparently it's changed a lot of people's prayer lives and stuff because I know I think I've heard for Piercing the Darkness, I think that's the second book. Apparently prayer is, like, a huge part of that book. Sorry. And yeah, people say that it changes their life and their perspective on, 'cause, how they view their life just because of the prayer elements of those books and stuff. So yeah, I can see why you would feel that way. Okay. Keep the questions coming, but I am going to show you guys some more books that I got the other day. I got them from the secondhand bookshop, so don't feel bad for me for spending too much money, because I don't, because it really wasn't that much. But I bought some more books because I had a subscriber reach out to me, and he really liked the Black Leviathan book that I recommended, which if you haven't read it, go read it, because it is the greatest story ever in regards to if you like anything dragon or pirate related, because the whole book is about pirates hunting dragons in the air. It's amazing. It's such a good series. Such a good standalone book. I really liked it. And I hope he writes more in that world, just because it was so awesome and like such a cool concept. Sorry if this is really loud. Yeah, I bought more books because the subscriber, Mario, he asked if there was any other books I knew of that were a similar vein and had like dragons and stuff, that were also clean enough that Christians can read them. And honestly, it's really hard to find them. So I went onto the secondhand bookshop website, and I had a look to see if I could find any dragon stories so that I could read them, so that I can see if any of them are good enough to recommend, like the Black Leviathan book was. Is there a book I quit before the first chapter? As in before the end of the first chapter? I would say probably. What would it have been though? Before I finished the first chapter. Probably, but I can't remember. Normally, with books though, I try and give them at least like 5 chapters before I like DNF them, just because sometimes you can get a bad impression from a book and then the rest of the book is fine. So I normally try and give it at least 5 chapters before I put it down. That being said, if there's some really offensive stuff in there, I will put it down pretty much straight away. Like I wanted to read The Handmaid's Tale because everyone talks about that book. It's like a classic or whatever. And I really didn't like it. Because it's basically about a cult that's like based off Christianity, and it just didn't sit with me very well at all. And it was very immoral, and like I know that was the point of the book, but I really didn't like it. But yeah, anyway. Katie's here. Hello, Katie. Cool. So, and Dylan's here too. Okay, so what kind of... Sorry, now I'm distracted from the book opening because of all your questions, which is good. Keep them coming. But yeah, we'll get back to the book opening in a second. What kind of book-related videos do you like to watch on other booktube channels? Oh, okay. I subscribe to so many booktube channels, especially my fellow Christian ones, just because I like to see what other people are reading, because I'm one of the only fantasy science fiction channels, at least in the Christian space. But yeah, so I like seeing what other people read. But I don't know. I do like a good book haul. I don't know if there's anyone who doesn't like watching book hauls, which is weird because like you would think people would not like to watch other people get things, but I really do. Like so many people really do like it. It's almost like we can share in their joy, which I like. And I would say I don't mind a good book vlog if it's done well. Like some of them I don't love as much because they're not very atmospheric, because I feel like with a vlog you need to be atmospheric. But like Celestia just did a vlog yesterday or the day before, and I thought that was really good because she added a lot of atmosphere in it and lots of like clips of like nature and different stuff in there, and I really liked it. And like her baking, which I loved. I was like, that's so cool. I don't mind tags because you get to know the booktuber better, so I feel like they're helpful. But honestly, I just like watching people's book recommendations. Like that's probably my favorite overall. Okay. Cool. Yes, Katie, you do need to read more science fiction and fantasy. Yes. I'm trying to recruit you guys as fellow fantasy readers because I need other people to introduce me to things, and at the moment there's not very much of that. So I'm having to struggle through myself. So someone help me. Someone join me. Okay. Yes, book hauls. They're so good. No problem, Dawn. Thank you so much for joining the stream. I feel so like awkward because like I've never done a stream before, and I feel like my video quality is drastically worse because I'm on my laptop rather than using my normal phone that I film on. But it's all right. Oh, what is my favorite setting in a book? Oh, that's hard. I like space settings because like that's just wild to me. Like space is harder for me to imagine and relate to than like fantasy books, which you would think is weird because like space is real and like fantasy stuff, like fantasy worlds aren't. But just because like the whole concept of like not having gravity and like or like too much gravity depending on what like planet you're on, or like and like just floating all the time, and like the fact that like if you're just in space, right, you have nothing to protect you from radiation, which was wild when I learned that. I was like, what do you mean? So like in spaceships they have to have like special coatings and stuff on their ships to stop the radiation. Otherwise, everyone dies of like radiation poisoning because like on Earth, we're protected from the atmosphere. And so like we're fine. But in space, you don't have that. That was wild to learn about. I learned that in a book, and like everything from about space. So like space books are like blows my mind just because it's so surreal to me, even though it is realistic. But I also, yeah, I'm a sucker for fantasy worlds. Like I can't not be, because they are so good. Katie, we could do a stream together if you want. That would be fun. I don't know how to do that, but we could work it out and do a stream together. That would be fun. And thank you for not holding my streaming quality against me. Yeah, like I feel like fantasy worlds can be cool just because like I love fantasy worlds that have like that are so different from Earth. Like they don't even have the same vegetables and fruit and stuff that we do. Like I think that is cool that someone has like invented that. I think that's really cool. So I have this like real strong appreciation and respect for that, which is why I really like fantasy worlds. But yeah, space is just so, I don't know. It seems otherworldly, even though it's very much so realistic, just because like as someone who's never experienced anti-gravity, I just can't even. It's like I was saying this to my husband the other day. Like I've never seen snow in real life, like never seen it. And so when I see it on shows and movies and whatever, I'm like, wow, I can't even imagine what that is like. Like I can't imagine it being like how cold it would be, the texture of walking on snow, what it feels like. Like, I can't imagine any of that. Like, I can't imagine what it would be like to stand out in, like, the snow when it's snowing. Like, I can't. Like, my brain just can't, like, comprehend that, even though it's a very real thing. Because I've never experienced it, my mind's like, no. I, like, that's for TV. Like, it's made up. Like, I know that's dumb, but, like, that's just how my brain thinks. And so, like, space is the same thing to me. I hope that makes sense. Wow, 8 feet. Wow, that's a lot. I would love to live in the snow. I know that's weird because, like I said, my brain is like, it's not even real. But I would love to live somewhere that had seasons, because in Queensland, where I live, we have, like, hot, very hot, not very hot. I need to put a cardigan on. Like, that's it. That's all we've got. We don't even have, like, color changing trees or anything. Like, the only time you'll find color changing trees is if people have deliberately planted them because they're not native. And that makes me sad. It makes me sad. I wish that we had seasons. So enjoy your seasons for me, Katie. Enjoy it. You can send me some snow in the mail. I don't think it would survive, but it's the thought that counts. Use more of spring. I find you guys in America, your seasons are weird to me. Like, how you go from spring to fall and everything is weird to me, because, like, we do it at the start of months and we do it in quarters, whereas you guys do it, like, you guys were saying that fall started on, like, the 20 something of September, and that was weird to me because I was like, spring started for us like 20 days ago. So the way that is worked out, and I know, isn't it something to do with, like, the equinox or whatever? I don't know. Yeah, definitely. It definitely shows that a book is good if you can feel its environment, definitely. Yes, Katie, okay. I'm glad that you guys find it confusing too, even though that's what you've grown up with. Because, yeah, I don't get it. Because then your spring shorter anyway, and your fall, isn't it shorter? Because, like, for us, spring is 1st of September to 30th of November. And then we have summer from 1st of December to the 31st of March. Um, so we have, like, even 3 months of every season. Whereas, like, when does autumn end for you guys? When does fall end? Because if it starts at the end of September, when does it finish? Because wouldn't it have to finish at Christmas time when it's winter? That doesn't make sense in my brain. I'm going to keep opening these books. Oh, winter starts at the end of December. So when you have Christmas, it's actually still autumn for you guys, like fall. That's weird. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So the books that I've got, I know nothing about these, by the way. So if you know anything about them, let me know. Oh, the 21st. Okay, so it's like, so is it like 21st of September to 21st of December? That makes a bit more sense. It's still weird though. Like, why didn't you just do it at the start of the month? But you guys do everything weird. You and your Fahrenheit and your feet and your... What's your weight measurement? Isn't that Oz or something? I don't know. You guys are weird. Wow, 6 to 7 months of winter. That's a lot. My husband just walked in. He's snooping on me. Yes, you are fun. Yes, exactly. You make up for it. It's all right. You give us all the pumpkin spice and the, I don't know, everything else. You guys give us lots of things, so I'm not mad. You gave us Oreos, so that counts for something good. Okay, so I've got the Earth Dragons, which this is book 1 of a series. It looks so cool. Look at this cover, guys. Can you see this? Look at that dragon. Awesome. I love dragons. Do you guys like dragons? I know like half of you guys don't even read fantasy, but do you guys like dragons anyway? I know, the cover is so nice. Okay, then I've got one called One for Sorrow and Two for Joy, which this is interesting because they say this is an epic tale in tradition of Lord of the Rings. So I'm like, that's saying a lot. But this is a really interesting cover. It's super interesting. I haven't seen one like this before. It says, I've never heard of a book like this. Ready, guys? You ready? It says, Welcome to Birddom, a land where magpies rule. Also, I don't know if you guys have magpies in other parts of the world, but magpies swoop you and they'll kill you and they're horrible. They're cute and I like them, but like you need to keep your distance. Good night, Dawn. Thank you for joining. Okay, and so it says, a land where magpies rule. Dark forces are at work, and evil intelligence is masterminding their inexorable rise. Dominance has been achieved by systematic genocide and slaughter. In birddom, blackbird and sparrow have been exterminated. The magpie has replaced the pigeon in the city and the starling in the garden. For small birds throughout the land, survival is everything. Birddom needs a hero, a bird to fight the darkness and bring light back to the land. But what can one bird do in the face of such evil? What a time. It's like a book just about birds taking over the world. Crazy. Yes, we love dragons. That's good. I'm glad everybody loves dragons. Little birds skating more than big birds. Well, magpies, I don't know if you know how big a magpie is, but like they're not very big. They're smaller than like a crow. They're like average bird size. They're like probably the size of a pigeon, which you guys do have. I know that. I know New York has pigeons, right? If movies have taught me anything, it's that. New York has lots of pigeons. Interesting. Little birds can be mean. I wonder if it's like how little dogs are meaner than big dogs. Maybe it's like a thing. Dragonborn. Yes. Pigeons and seagulls. Seagulls! I didn't know you guys had lots of seagulls. Just interesting. Where do you live, Katie? I don't know. Is there a, like, what city do you live in? Magpies are evil. They are evil. They're evil. I've also got this one called World's End. Again, awesome dragon cover. Love this. I love dragons. I wish the dragons weren't always evil. Like a lot of books, dragons are like the evil characters. And I think that's partly because like in history, like dragons have always been considered evil because biblically they were evil. Oh, okay. So you're wow, near Niagara Falls. That is so cool. And about 7 hours away. So you're north of New York, I'm assuming. I don't know much about American geography. I don't know much about geography in general, but like I really don't know about the different states. But I know that New York is on the west. That's what I know. And Niagara Falls is like on the border. That's what I know. Does New York City have much beaches? Or whatever state New York City is in. What is the state of New York? I don't know. I'm not a very good I'm not a good trivia player, if you can tell. Also, I've got another book also called World's End, also about dragons, but by a different person. What are the chances of that? Look at that. There's two dragons fighting to the death. And there's a person as well. There's people riding the dragons. There's a person on that dragon. There's a person on that. That's cool. Very cool. Oh, okay. So, interesting. Do you like, if you live near Niagara Falls, is that like, does that mean you get lots of tourists near where you live? Or do they only go to Niagara Falls and not near your town? I also got this book, which is unfortunately a hardcover, but I'll live. It's a whole series, so it's all 5 books in one, which they must be pretty small books because this book isn't huge. So maybe it's like short stories or something. But look at this creature on the front. I don't even know what it's meant to be, because that doesn't look like a dragon. That looks like some weird worm thing. And I'm all about it. Look at that. That looks terrifying. Can you imagine if that came and like ate you in the middle of the night? Katie, you better check the snow, because look, it's hiding under the snow. It might come and eat you, so be careful. Okay. Cool. So you live more rurally. That's cool. I want to live more rurally. My husband and I's plan, after he like finishes his qualifications, because he is currently getting his qualifications to be an electrician, he is if that's under the snow, you're moving next door to me. That's fine. I'll have you as my neighbor. That would be so fun. That would be terrifying though. Can you imagine? Oh my goodness. Do you like, is that something that people have a fear of like what's under the snow? Because like I know like people won't go in the ocean because like they're like, I can't see what's underneath it. I wonder if there's people out there that are afraid of what's under the snow. Hopefully I don't awaken fears in you, Katie. Yeah, that's pretty terrifying. But yeah, speaking of rurally, my husband and I, once he's finished his qualifications, our eventual goal is to go live somewhere in the middle of nowhere and be a little bit off the grid. Live that van life. Oh, okay, cool. I'm glad you don't have that fear. That's good, because I feel like if you had snow, that's all the time that you'd want to not have that fear. Bunnies! Oh, I love bunnies. We don't really have bunnies here. In Queensland, bunnies are illegal. So we don't have that here. Down in other parts of Australia, you can have them. But yeah, you can't have them in Queensland. So I've only seen a bunny once, and it was when I was visiting down south. Do they get arrested if they go to town? I think it's a bit like, I mean, if you get caught with a bunny, you like get a fine and they get taken off you. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you go to jail unless you're running like a bunny drug ring. But yeah, like I think like if people find rabbits or bunnies, it's like the pound takes them or whatever. And I assume they get released somewhere where they're allowed to be, but maybe they're, you know. But yeah. Oh, you had a bunny. That's so cool. My sister always really wanted a bunny when she was little. She really wanted a bunny, and then we found out they were illegal, and she got real sad. So she always said that she was going to move somewhere that she could have a bunny, but she still hasn't done that. So who knows if that'll ever happen. Rescued from a shelter. That's so good. Also, I missed it before, but yes, Nismo, not all dragons fly, which is a bit wild to me. Because what's the difference between a dragon and a wyvern? Wyvern. I don't know how to say that word, but you know what I'm talking about. Because I know that like they are in a lot of stories and very popular. And part of me wonders if that's just like, is that just the name for like Asian dragons? Because I feel like they're more common in like Asian mythology and stuff in video games. A wallaby? Do you guys have wallabies? I thought wallabies were an Australian thing. We have wallabies. That would be so cool to teach kids about them at the library. That would be awesome. That would be so cool. I would love that. That would be fun as. I loved the library as a kid. I really did. Wow. That's so cool. So they're not like native to the US, but you guys do have them. That's so interesting. We have lots of wallabies, but no one has them as pets as far as I know. I don't think we have them as pets. Oh, one has scales and one doesn't for the wyvern and the dragon. So I'm assuming the wyvern doesn't. Because they have feathers, though. Wyvern have feathers. I know that. You know how I know that? From Terraria. Because in Terraria, which is a video game for you guys that don't know, you can get feathers. You can collect feathers from the wyvern. Yeah, flying dragons are cool. If you had a not flying dragon, though, like, how scary would that actually be? Because couldn't you just, like, outrun it? Like, I feel like half the reason dragons are scary are because, like, they can fly after you and kill you. Although I guess if you, like, had a non-flying dragon, you could ride it like a horse or something. It probably would run fast. Probably. And it'd probably still be, yeah, maybe really fast shooting flames. I don't know. There's so many different dragons now because like people just have like taken that idea and like run with it, and there's like so many different options now. Yes, Lord, give us dragons in heaven, but like cute pet dragons, not like eating people dragons. I'd want a pet dragon. I would love to be able to fly around on a dragon. That would be awesome. I see that in like some movies have that, and I'm like, oh, even just be able to act that would be fun. I feel like. I think maybe you'd get a bit sick though, unless you got really used to it. Like maybe it would make you a bit nauseous. Yes, I would be scared. Yes, friendly one like how to train try. Yeah, like I would love a toothless. Oh, he's so cute. He's like the cutest dragon ever. He really is. Fast like a snake. That would actually be kind of scary. If you had like a huge dragon like snake thing coming after you. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. I wouldn't like that. They can probably burrow too, maybe. Because they have like big claws and stuff. Maybe they can like dig into the ground. That'd be a bit scary. Definitely looking forward to those dragon books though. Because I feel like there is definitely a lot of fantasy out there that is not clean, and that's where all the cool stuff is, like the cool monsters. And I wish there was more cool monsters in the clean fantasy too. I think if I ever wrote a fantasy, I'd want to have cool monsters, but the chance of me writing one is very slim. But if you guys know of any clean fantasy that has dragons or other monsters, let me know, because I really want to read them. I want to read them. Yes, there is so much unclean fantasy. It's not funny. It's like people think like the only way people are going to read it is if it has like inappropriate things in it. Which I don't understand, because that's not true. Oh, okay, cool. I'm going to write that down before I forget it, because I will. I'll forget it. I'm so bad at that kind of stuff. Anyone else? Anyone else bad at that kind of stuff? Remembering things? Just normal things. Can't remember stuff. Ooh, and they found dragons. That sounds so good. Okay. I will have a good look into that. He's written heaps of stuff. Wow. I've never read one of his books before. Yeah, he's got a lot. Very cool. I'll definitely look into that more later. Oh, that's good. Cool. Okay. I'll have to look into that more, Katie, and get a copy. You know what else I need to get a copy of? The Keeper of the Lost Cities. But that's like a huge series, and I'm a bit like timid about buying it because like they keep releasing books. Yeah, I've got The Oath. That's one of the ones that I've been procrastinating and putting off because I am just a bit scared about it. But I need to just jump in, you know? I need to just get over it. Because worst case scenario, I start reading it and it's too scary and I just put it down. So I don't know why I'm like putting it off so much. It's okay. It's okay, Sam, to DNF books. I've got to tell myself that sometimes. I think we will probably wrap up the stream in about 3 minutes. So if you have any more questions, shoot them out, because I think we will call it a night or a day, depending on what time zone you're in a minute. I haven't traveled outside Australia. No, I haven't. I haven't even traveled all of Australia yet. I've been to about half of the states in Australia. Less than that. Bye, Nismo. Thanks for joining. But yeah, I haven't been anywhere. I desperately want to travel, but I have just never had the opportunity or the funds to be able to, because traveling overseas is very expensive. Yeah. Yes, definitely come visit. You can come stay. I mean, as long as I'm not in the caravan, because if we're in the caravan by then there'll be absolutely no room. But if we're still in the house, you can definitely come stay because there's a spare room. But yes, I will happily show you around, show you the sights. That would be so awesome. I'd love to have you visit. It would be so cool. It would be nice to have a book friend that I could go shopping with. I don't have anyone to go book shopping with over here, so it would be fun. Even if it's just for a little while. Thank you so much for joining me, Katie. I really appreciate it. And everyone else, but it's nice to have a fellow booktuber to share the hype with. Yes. I know, it's so sad not having anyone to bookshop with. It'd be so cool. It's so good. Also, if I ever get to make it over to America, I want to come and visit you, and I want to meet your parents. Because they are so cute. I love them. I love them. That vlog was so great. I loved it. It was so good. They seem like so much fun. Anyway, I think we will wrap it up for tonight, guys. Have a lovely day or lovely night if you're in that area of the world. But yeah, thank you guys for joining. Hopefully we'll do another live stream sometime soon. But yeah, thank you guys for coming and asking me questions and getting to know me a bit more. It was so fun. Hope you guys enjoy it. And if you guys are watching this back, thanks for viewing it as well. Good night. Love you guys. Thank you so much for all the support.